Hello everyone and welcome. It is getting to be now it is the beginning of November, which is one of my favorite times of year. And that means October has concluded. And that means that a lot of you guys are getting ready to consider what you're going to do for tires for the coming year. Those of you who live in snow states in the snow belt, I bet this is a primary concern for you, as it always is for me, because I want to keep my family safe. Before we talk about this, today's video, which is going to be on now about more than 40,000 miles of Falken Wildpeak A T4W performance on my Expedition. And very sadly, that means that we've put 40,000 miles on this thing in a year, which is ridiculous. But it means that we're getting our money out of it. This thing is our family workhorse. I adore our Expedition. We have so much fun in this thing, and the tires have been nothing but great. We'll talk about that in 2 seconds, but I wanted to do a quick channel update. Many of you guys, I'm very open about my life on my YouTube channel with you guys, because I think that if you're going to watch my channels, you should know about what's going on. And I mentioned way back in August 7th, my dad was diagnosed with late stage ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, atrophic lateral sclerosis, or something like that. I didn't prepare to talk about necessarily this in the video, so if I said that wrong, so be it. ALS, it's bad news. He passed away October 22nd, and I was his full-time caretaker and spent every waking moment of every day with him, especially the last 2 months. I got married September 6th, and he was able to be there for that, and that was amazing. And now we're into November, which is a new month, so I'm glad that we got to cap off October and move on from that. So know that there will be regularly scheduled programming, lots hitting it hard. My dad loved that I did YouTube. He always asked me how things were going, how different videos were doing, gave me video ideas. My dad loved that I do YouTube. So I can assure you that nothing is going to change on that front. I love being here with you guys, and I love working on stuff. And those of you who have offered prayers and thoughts and all those things, thank you so much. I don't want to dive too deep on it, just because I guess I don't know that anybody really cares, but I want to say that he had a very peaceful passing for how criminally awful ALS is. He had a very peaceful passing, and I was happy that I was able to give him the comfort that he needed to have up until his last minutes. And he passed away in my home with a gigantic rainbow over top of the house. Maybe I'll put that in right here, because I think that that's a fantastic way that he was able to conclude his life in a positive note. ALS is truly awful. I don't wish it on anybody. Moving forward, now that we have that out of the way, and on to a more positive note, I am a raving supporter of Falken Wildpeak AT4Ws. I had AT3Ws on my now wife's JKU for a very long time. I think we put 60-something thousand miles on those tires. They were wonderful. I love the AT3Ws. I got a set for my Excursion. My Excursion has still been in my dad's shop. I've been tinkering on it for years, and I need to get that done. That is one thing you guys are going to see. I have a set of 37, 12, 5, 17 AT3Ws that are old now, but thankfully they've been indoors this whole time, so hopefully we won't have too big a problem with that. But I have a 37-inch set of AT3Ws because I like the way that the 285 70R17s perform so well on her Jeep. And when the AT4Ws came out, I had to try them. And I'm trying to remember, I'm pretty sure I got them for my truck first, because I knew I wanted to have a little bit better performing all-terrain tires. Specifically, I snowmobile. I love getting out in snowmobiling, and that means you're driving into snowstorms, ice storms on purpose, and generally driving several hundred miles, if not a lot more than that, to go find the best snow and to get in there. A lot of what I like to do is, I knew a storm was coming. I tried to get there early, so I'd wake up the next morning at early and be able to ride trails that just got dumped on. And that is something I love to do. And when you do stuff like that, when you're crossing the Mackinac Bridge in wind advisories and ice storms and things like that, you kind of want to have a good set of tires. And when I got them for my truck, I was very impressed with them. This thing had already had 20,000 miles or so on it, and the factory tires, which were great, they showed a little bit of wear. And going into wintertime, which is exactly why I make these videos, when I do, we're all thinking about what are we going to do for this year's set of tires, because you don't want to have a crazy snowstorm come up and ruin your choices and ruin your day and have you think, I wish I would have gotten a set of tires. It's Sunday, right before Christmas, and my tires are trashed, and I have to go see my family, and there's 6 inches of brand new snow on the highways. You don't want to do that, so let's plan ahead together. I planned ahead on this when I got my set of tires, loved them, got this set for this, and I went down to go see my parents, which panned out to be my dad's last Christmas, and we had a really nice Christmas meal together, all that kind of stuff, and we were going to go home that night because we didn't bring all 4 of our dogs with us, and so we had to drive right into a nasty snowstorm, and it was this vehicle's first basically snowstorm on this set of tires. And that solidified my respect for these tires. I had about 100 or so mile drive right into a awful snowstorm. There was 4 to 6 inches of fresh snow on all the freeways. There were no plow trucks out. There was no salt out because it was the first real snow of the year. No one was prepared for anything. And this thing went through it like it wasn't even there. And when anybody who's covered 100 or so miles in those kind of conditions, it's not super easy because you're still wanting to maintain a higher average speed so you can get home, blah, blah, blah. My parents were really worried about me when I left because I had my daughter and my now wife in the vehicle and things like that. And I'm happy to report that the AT4Ws never disappoint on slippery roads. They're always there for you, and it's been no different with the rest of the season. Every time we had a snowstorm, whether we drive up to my cabin or whether we're doing something family related, we have family in different parts of the state in the northern part of Ohio. So sometimes we're driving through nasty weather to go to the northern part of Ohio, for instance, which of course has a little bit more mild weather than Michigan. It's amazing just that little bit south and you get kind of this, semi, southern weather. It's kind of interesting how northern Ohio has this like totally different weather than Michigan. It could be 20 degrees here and snow, and they could have 45 degrees or 43 degrees and of course no snow. And it's crazy that we're not that far away, but the weather difference is so big. But anyway, so 40,000 miles in, how are we doing? I have rotated these tires quite a few times. Basically every other oil change. And the reason that is the case is because they've been wearing so evenly. I have front and rear set at 35 PSI. And as you can see, very, very, very flat wear pattern across the top. No cupping, no craziness. And that is amazing performance, I guess is what I'm getting at. This is a vehicle driven by myself. It is also driven by my wife. And, together we are very safe, very cognizant drivers. But we both like the performance of 85 horsepower, whatever the heck this thing has. And we both enjoy getting on it once in a while. I do occasionally love to take sporty corners once in a while and toss the truck into a nice corner on twisty road or whatever. And these tires do not disappoint. These are 275 55 R20s. This is the factory tire size for our Expedition. And so here's this one. Before I keep talking, we should probably just keep going with the 4-tire appearance. They've never needed to be patched. They've never needed anything. And that's, I guess, to me saying something. A good tire that has a strong carcass tends to reject getting punctured. So the fact that we put 40,000 miles on this thing and haven't had a puncture, it could mean that I never encountered a nail, which of course I try and avoid, or any other sharp object. But it, to me, also signifies a strong sidewall and a strong carcass that if there was anything around, it didn't puncture it. We haven't necessarily curbed it, you might say, but you can certainly see that there's some, rash on the side of the tire if you want. The side lugs provide excellent side protection, and they look super duper cool too. The raised letters, I think, look pretty sassy on the side of the Expedition. This is, like I said, a family hauler for us. I do tow with it. This is a max tow package Expedition. This is an Expedition Max. It is rated for 9,000 pounds. It is 4-wheel drive, and because it has a max, or because it's the max tow package, it gets the normal F-150 transfer case. So it has a 2-speed locking transfer case. So this has a locking center differential if you want. It has full-time 4-wheel drive, or it has a all-wheel drive function, the auto function. We don't use that a super amount, just because honestly, you Excursion owners and you Expedition owners or Suburban owners, whatever, an SUV provides basically 50-50 weight distribution front and rear. And what that means to you is excellent all-weather performance and stability. It's not like a pickup truck where if it rains a little bit, you have really low traction in the rear. The massive weight back here does a wonderful job of keeping the rear tires planted on the ground. And in all weather, this thing is fun to drive. I think that performance SUVs, and I'm going to call this thing a performance SUV, not only does it, in my opinion, look the part, you can't tell me that's not a great looking truck. I love the front end on this. This is an XLT, relatively base model vehicle. Obviously, it's painted black wheels. And to me, it is a wonderful looking truck. I love this thing. So a little bit of a expedition bonus here. But its all-weather and off-road performance is simply excellent. I do not abuse this thing off-road at all. In fact, I'm very, very careful with it, only because it does have a low-hanging air dam and low-hanging side steps. I hate those step bars, but they do a good job of protecting the side of the vehicle, both from rock chips and also doors flinging open, whatever. Are they pretty? No. Do they look tough and off-roady? No, that stupid chrome stripe is not a good look. I think that the step bars are the one thing about this thing that is not, or is an off-putting appearance. The front end on it, I think, looks awesome. And like I said, these are the factory tire size. But because they are a true all-terrain tire, they have a nice looking, A, outer tread blocks, B, sidewall, both support and protection, and lugs on the sidewall that give it a really nice off-road look without having any performance downsides at all. That is, I think, the biggest takeaway after driving this thing a lot. And I choose to drive, we unfortunately put a lot of miles on this thing. I choose to drive it. It's different than my truck. I love my F350. And there's no replacement for an HD pickup truck, and especially not a 7.3 gas. No, the 3.5 twin turbo does not compare to the 7.3, either in towing or fun to drive from a truck perspective. The torque of the 7.3 is pretty intoxicating. It's really fun to drive. Sounds good. But at the same time, the twin turbo V6 also sounds, in my opinion, pretty good. I don't mind V6s, especially when they have the torque, the flat torque curve that this thing has. It's a really fun, easy vehicle to drive. These tires have excellent braking characteristics. It is super planted. If you were doing some higher performance driving, say you didn't have a kid in the back and you wanted to go toss it into some corners, or do something like take your wife on a road trip or something like that, and you wanted to find some twisty roads in the Appalachian Mountains or something like that, this thing delivers. And these tires that perform excellent rain, snow, shine, sand, mud, gravel. And mud, I say very carefully, light mud. All-terrain tires are terrible in the mud. They easily glomp up. I actually have a video on that. If you want to look at my, there's two playlists it should be in. Tips for new truck owners, and also in my F350 playlist. And it should be something like the problem with all-terrain tires or something like that. And it pretty well identifies the issue with mud and all-terrains. It's a pretty good video. I think that it covers it with a visual aid as opposed to just talking about it. Check that video out. And I recommend that if you're interested in my videos, check out all of my different playlists. And you might find that there's a lot of things that cross over. If you're an excursion or expedition person, you might want to check out the F350 tab. If you're into, I guess, trucks in general, there's probably lots of content that you might be interested in. Maybe you like equipment and things like that. We're running tractors and excavator and things like that. Towing those things, you might find a lot of different videos you might like. So check out my other videos too while you're here. Click on my channel and explore. You might find something that's for you. Anyway, the braking performance, very, very stable. You can haul this thing down from a very high rate of speed if you had to do sudden emergency braking, whatever, and you are not having any fishtailing, any squirreliness. It is very, very planted. If you were late to, say, take an exit and you needed to come down from the speed limit, say 75 mile an hour, you need to take a 25 or 30 mile an hour cloverleaf exit, you can easily haul this thing down perfectly straight, no squirreliness, set the car in the corner, turn hard. It's amazing how well this thing handles, even on all-terrain tires. That was one thing that I was concerned about when I got tires. I didn't want to compromise this thing's performance aesthetic. When I was younger, I always daily drove cars as well. I always had a pickup truck, and I always had a performance car. And my first performance car, but I learned on a Fiero GT. But my first car I bought was a 69 Mercury Marquis, which is not a performance car, but it's a very cool car. I've been restoring it. That will be on the channel. If you guys want to see 69 Mercury Marquis content, let me know. I'm going to need to get working on that right away. Same with my Excursion. But anyway, I had a Pontiac G8 GT. I had a 2014 Mustang Track Pack. That was a really fun car. I special ordered that. It had no options, just Track Pack. It was a really cool light car. It weighed, I think it weighed 3,678 pounds with me in it. Pretty light car for modern standards. And then I had a 2016 Focus ST. which was a great car. I did a lot of commuting during college with that. I really needed that. My Cummins and my Excursion needed a lot of work or some service after using the crap out of them. And I got that car for really cheap because they had a really good discount on Focus STs. And that was a really excellent car to drive. I love the way that car drove. I love Focuses. And then I ended up later on getting a Focus RS, and there'll be more content on that if you guys want to see. Let me know if I'm mentioning vehicles you want to see more content on, because I will definitely be making content going forward. As we've already talked about, a pretty substantial, my dad and I were best friends, the closest best friends you could ever have. And losing him, there is a hole in my life that is as deep as a mine. And I'm going to fill it with all the other things that I enjoy doing, and we're going to try and keep going forward. And like I said, my dad loved that I did YouTube. I really hope that he would have seen, he was very proud of what I've built it to be already, but I know that there's a lot more in it and a lot more opportunity to keep growing. And I was hoping he was going to be able to say that while he was alive, but now he's going to be looking down on me while I do that. So we are definitely going to be doing it. So if I mention a vehicle that you're interested in seeing, make sure you put in the comment section. I'll be sure to dive into that. My 04 Ford Excursion was my first SUV and my first four-wheel drive pickup truck that was mine. I bought that when I got accepted to Kettering University in Flint. I needed to have a vehicle that I could commute between Flint and then wherever I got a job. My first job was at the Chelsea Proving Grounds. I worked for Fiat Chrysler FCA at the time. Now it's Stellantis. I didn't work for them when they were Stellantis, just when it was FCA. And if you have ever heard of Sergio Marchioni, he was the CEO of FCA. I presented directly to him during my time at Chrysler, which was super fun. He was a very nice guy, very work-oriented, always carried around a little notebook. He was very organized, very interesting guy. I really enjoyed those days. And then I ended up working at a company in Holland, Michigan called Vocal Water Technologies, and I worked in product management on filter presses. They're used for industrial applications for liquid solid separation, and I really enjoyed that too because I have a very technical background as well as definitely a project management details background. So I enjoy both. I enjoy welding and fabrication, manufacturing, things like that, but then also all the front and back portion of the business aspects too. So I really enjoyed that as well. Anyway, did a lot of commuting between Holland, Flint, my parents' house in Detroit area, my previous residence in the Thumb area, and just around in general. So I did a lot of driving. The Excursion was bought to allow me to commute between all those different places. And yes, it was a V10 Excursion commuting, but keep in mind I had to move every 3 months, so having that huge amount of volume was just simply required. I love that truck, and I really needed the volume. And it set the stage for me to appreciate SUVs. And when we were looking for a 3-row, 4-wheel drive, proper SUV, there's really only two options: Suburban or Expedition. And the biggest thing that led me, we kind of gone off the tire conversation a little bit, but this is both direct and multi-port fuel injected. And that makes a big difference. A GM vehicle is only going to be direct injected. They don't have multi-port injectors, at least on anything relevant to the Suburban. And I did not want to have an only direct injected vehicle that I was going to put high miles on. The multi-port fuel injectors assist in cleaning the carbon residue off of the intake valves and intake tract, so you don't have carbon coking, which over time greatly depreciates or greatly removes performance from the vehicle, fuel economy, all that stuff, and eventually requires being cleaned with walnut shells, like spray blasted. And that's an added cost of ownership, potentially some downsides, things like that. And also the 3.5 EcoBoost is got a lot better track record than the LT V8s. And I'm sorry that I'm going to offend a lot of people by saying that, but the 3.5 EcoBoost is a lot better engine than the LT 5.3 and 6.2. Much, much more reliable, has a much better torque curve, and much better performance. I really like the 3.5 EcoBoost, and I will also say very clearly, no, the 3.5 EcoBoost does not compare when towing to the 7.3 liter gas. 7.3 gas is in a totally different zip code. My truck has the exact same gear ratios as the 10L80 in the Expedition, and it has the same final drive ratio. Both my truck and the Expedition have a 373 axle ratio. The only thing different about them is, of course, the vehicle that they're in, and then the engine up front. There's a lot of differences between them, but the The primary differences are going to be 7.3 versus 3.5, and then, half ton versus 8-lug F350 1-ton truck. The difference is staggering. It's not even comparable. The performance difference, the stability difference in towing, and then the speed and power. Yes, you have twin turbos here, and yes, you have a nice flat torque curve. The 7.3 absolutely trounces this thing with the same axle ratio. It's not like it's a 430 7.3 versus 373 3.5. However, caveat really quickly, I love the 3.5. It's really fun to drive. I can see why people like them. I love this thing, and I'm glad that it is my second vehicle. My F350 is a valued member of my vehicle fleet, and it allows me to do a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to do with this. But I also just love driving this. It's a very fun vehicle to drive. If you're used to having a performance vehicle and you want to have a family vehicle, instead of buying a minivan, buy this. You get great straight line acceleration, good handling, great braking, good towing performance, good enough. Definitely as good as any other half ton. It's just the half tons don't compare to an 8-lug heavy duty truck. Even a gas heavy duty truck does not compare. If you were to put the 3.5 into a Super Duty, which would be very, very interesting. You would probably get better fuel economy than my 7.3, not when towing. My 7.3 actually gets better fuel economy than this when towing. This gets substantially better fuel economy than my 7.3 when empty. So, a couple different, comparisons of the two. And we've gone way more conversation than tires. But a lot of you guys like hearing from me. I've missed talking to you guys. It took me a little bit of time. Today is November, 2nd? And, I'm certainly, no one is ever going to be over something like this. In a matter of basically 3 to 5 months, I went from having a partner in my business with him, and a sailing buddy, and a best friend, and someone who I did when I wasn't doing things with my family. I mean, when you get to be a man, you start a family. And when I wasn't doing things with my family, I was doing things with my dad. And this was the first year I didn't race the Macklin race with my dad. And it's a huge loss. It's a big change. But we're going to try and fill that mine-sized open pit mine hole in my life with positive things. And positive things being, I love making YouTube videos with you guys, and I love hearing from you guys. So let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. And like a lot of my videos, this thing crossed over into many different parts of, or many different conversations all at once. There's going to be a lot more on the motorhome, on the 7.3 Godzilla motorhome of mine. I did get to do some of our, I have made several videos about that, just a little bit of a recap. We did do about half of our trip, and his ALS symptoms got to the point where it was not in his best interest. I even got him a ramp and set up a ramp for the house, and we never really got to use that properly. I still need to take that down, because his symptoms just got to the point where he was very much chair ridden. There was a while there where he was wheelchair and help him around limited, but it got to the point where the wheelchair was no longer, it was very hard to get him out of the chair into the wheelchair. And then when he was in the wheelchair, he wasn't comfortable either. So just was a lot. And I don't recommend, or I wouldn't want ALS to be a reality for anyone, even my worst enemy. I'll just put it that way. It is a terrible, terrible, terrible disease. And it took someone who was, my dad was rowing 3,000 meters on an erg at over 75 years old in March, and he passed away October 22nd. That is how aggressive ALS is. And it was awful to watch, but I'm happy that I was able to provide him the comfort that I was able to do. So, there you go. Pretty long video now, and I'm sorry about that, but I wanted to give you guys a full update. I was doing snippets. My dad was really happy to see me go out and make short YouTube videos or just different quick things, and I wasn't able to get into the deep depth. And also I had on my mind the whole time getting back to my dad and getting back to taking care of him, even though whether he was on his phone or reading something or just peacefully relaxing or maybe taking a nap while I was doing it, it was still high. And maybe you could probably hear in the videos that my mind was always kind of somewhere else, and that somewhere else was worrying that my dad was inside needing me or something like that. But now that I am back to being on my own, it does really kind of feel like being really on my own. we turn more attention to doing this, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video. I've truly enjoyed making this video. A lot of my videos I do literally one take because I have things I want to talk about, and I just talk about them. The videos I make on my YouTube channel, they are literally my life, and I'm sharing what I'm doing anyway with you guys, and I share whatever I learned along the way and things like that. And to cap this off, getting back to tires really quick, there's ample tread life on these tires. I'm not buying a new set of tires before wintertime. I'm excited to see how these tires do after 40,000 miles in a winter. I am not concerned at all about this amount of tread, and like I said, we're going to be able to compare them to my truck, which has about half as many miles on its set of tires, but a lot more towing. And then I just got a brand new set of these for my dad's 2016 Cummins. And I'm excited to compare in the snow the performance of all three of these vehicles with a, 40,000 mile set, 40,000 plus. I don't know exactly what it is. It's more than 40,000 miles. And then my dad's brand new set that I got for his truck. And then, which he never really got to enjoy. He did see them and he thought that they looked nice. That was basically the extent of it. I kind of got him as a little bit of a surprise because he had mentioned to me, he's like, hey, going forward, you're going to need to get a set of tires for the Cummins. They're pretty worn out. And they were. I happily gave them to Bell Tire and told them, throw these away. But so he never got to enjoy really that set of tires. But we're going to keep trucking, and I appreciate all of you guys. And I've gotten so many positive comments lately. And you guys have no idea how much that means to me to get those right now. To see people enjoying my work and, seeing positive growth and things like that at a time that is a very difficult time. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's been 26 minutes. I think that we can cap it off here. Expect more to come. Let me know if you want to see, if you're looking forward to seeing content relating to those vehicles that I mentioned, my 04 Excursion. I have an 03 Cummins as well that needs to get back on the road. I have an 02 60 2500 HC Chevy that I built a really nasty motor for because I was young, dumb, and stupid and took apart a perfectly good truck that ran perfectly. It had a 200,000 mile engine that I tuned and driven many, many thousands of miles with good bit of power, pretty aggressive tune. Took it all apart, thinking, at 200,000 miles, I'll rebuild it, put heads cam in it, that kind of thing, intake, injectors, all the good stuff, and headers, and have a really nice, and it has forged pistons and ARP everything. And I took it apart, and the engine builder called me. Everything on the engine measured in spec. The bore still had cross hatching. It's amazing how resilient a 6.0 LS engine is, but chipmunk. So anyway, what am I trying to get at here? So 6.0 Chev, and then I'll be restoring a 19, I think it's 52 Willys Overlander. That's another project that I'll be working on. And then my 69 Mercury Marquis. Got a 1978 Lotus Eclat that my dad and I went down to Florida to pick up when I was a kid. And we put all new suspension, all new brakes, and resealed the engine when I was a kid. New timing belt, lots of random stuff on the car, and that never got done either. So hopefully that'll be another thing that we're going to work on getting done too. Let me know if any of you guys are that eclectic that you even know what a Lotus Eclat is. That would be something. Comment down below if you know what a Lotus Eclat is, or if you've ever seen one before. They're pretty rare. They're not worth anything, but they're really rare, which is pretty ironic. Usually rarity means value, not with an old junk British car. But we'll see if we can apply some hard work into that too. But I am the king of projects, and at this time, I've been looking forward to doing some project work because it brings me some peace. And my dad always really enjoyed tinkering on things. That was something that he was very good at, better than me. My dad was a really good mechanic. I'm a pretty good mechanic, and it's because I've learned from my dad. He actually enjoyed being miserable working on things. I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty good mechanic, but I also don't enjoy being woefully uncomfortable all the time. And that's kind of goes hand in hand with being a mechanic. You're always, busting your knuckles or, effing yourself up somehow. I always enjoyed welding and fabrication because I guess I burned myself all the time, but I guess you didn't mess yourself up too bad unless you cut yourself on a freshly cut piece of steel or something like that, caught a burr on your finger. Anyway, I hope you guys take care. I hope you guys are having a good, safe fall, and that's what this is all about. Let me know. My Falken Wildpeak videos have done very, very well. Lots of people have had interest. Importantly, and I've mentioned this to a couple of viewers, I have absolutely no affiliation with Falken. They don't know who I am, and that's fine with me. I am offering my own opinion and my own experiences, entirely separate from any input from any company at all, and I think that's a positive thing for YouTube. Obviously, a lot of channels need to have that input brand sponsorship to grow, and one of the things that I will always commit to everyone is that my opinion will never be altered, if that ever went to be the case. And I still continue to make videos without any brand association at all. But Falken doesn't know who I am. I'm not getting any kickback from saying I like Falkens. I like and trust these tires on my own accord with my own opinion. So enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a really great day.